Goofball. Okay, we're going live in 3, 2, 1. We're here. So, howdy, Star Changers. This is my goofy husband, Jeff, and
not Jeffrey.
That was my husband of the day on Sunday. It was Jeffrey the giraffe. If you guys saw my Facebook Live, it was Jeffrey the giraffe. And so, what's up, Francisco? We are talking tonight with Dolly. Oh my goodness, Dolly. I always know you as Dolly Cena, and now you're going by something different, but I'm going to call you Dolly Cena. She is one of my main mentors. I love her with like so much love and appreciation and gratitude for her. She actually has helped me change my life. And so, oh, look, I'm getting teary eyes. And so I love, and adore you. So thank you so much for being here and being supportive with me and Jeff, the real Jeff.
Yes, and as I've been saying ever since I found out you're going to come talk, she is awesome and everybody needs to listen to you and we love you.
Ah, that's awesome. And it looks like Tereska is watching us from Facebook Live. So hello, Tereska. She's my Polish grandma that I met over in Costa Rica, and she's also being mentored by Dolly. And my daughter, Kiana, is on here. So what's up, Ki? Yeah, so tonight we're actually going to be talking about the laws of the universe, which I'm super excited to talk about. Because when I learned these a couple years ago, my mind was just blown. I'm like, there's laws in the universe and I didn't know this. And now I'm like almost 50 years old. And so with that said, I'm going to let Dolly introduce yourself. Just tell us a little bit about you. And then we'll start, we'll have a Q&A on the laws of the universe.
Okay.
Can you, yep, I can, you can talk.
Yeah, okay. Well, Kathy, it is so amazing to be here. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Anyhow, it's a real honor to be here with you today. And it's been such an adventure, hasn't it? We went to Costa Rica together too. And I think people often say, if you want to go down the rabbit hole with, this is the best way to remember my name, Allesandra, like Alice in Wonderland, because I'll drink any potion and fit down any rabbit hole and fall down, all those things. It really is truly about having fun. So, about me, for me, it's, I've been following, I suppose, the laws of the universe for only 5 years, and it's gotten me to a space and place that I just there's not always any words for, but it can be sent through the laws of vibration, which would be telepathically from my heart to yours. And so through this interview today, I'd like to encourage everyone to drop into your hearts. And, I plan on having so much fun with Jeff, with Kathy and Giselle. I'm just really looking forward to this. And when you do drop into your heart, we are able to travel to the quantum field where we can really create. So Kathy, thank you again. It's really an honor. I like to say that I work with the leaders of the new world. So I like to just surround myself with amazing, inspiring people that are also teachers for me, and we rise together. So that's what I do.
Oh, that's awesome. That's way cool. I know it's kind of funny because when we first got in inner circle together with John's inner circle, and you kept talking about the new world, and I was like, are we going to a new world? I literally thought that we were like gonna get on a spaceship and go somewhere. and I guess in our own reality we totally
enjoy
are.
the ride.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was funny. I actually had to ask Bree. I'm like, Bree, where are we going?
To the moon, to the stars.
Yeah.
Miss the moon.
Yeah,
Overshot.
That's a different Bree that's gonna talk tomorrow. But with that said, as far as the laws of the universe, how long have you been aware of them?
Yeah, so when I first started this journey, my first introduction to this new world that I see this as now, that I didn't have the words for back then, was Bob Proctor. So many people know him from the movie The Secret. And so that was the law of attraction. And he talked about, I being mentored by him, and he talked about how the primary law to attraction was vibration, and that the secret had missed, really diving into that secret, so to speak. And so that was like my first introduction to the laws of the universe, but it still didn't make a lot of sense to me, except Bob Proctor would say, you want to explain this so that a third grader would understand it. So he would often talk about the law of gravity, and how the law of gravity didn't work just on Sundays. The law of gravity worked every day. It didn't matter if you were a child or if you were, anyone for that matter. If you walked off of a building, you would fall. And so that would be the laws of gravity, which meant the law of attraction was also always working too, so that it was incredibly important to learn the law of vibration. So at first it was like just baby steps into these laws. And then as my awareness, rose, and my expansion, my consciousness started to expand. And what I just mean by that is just becoming more aware of things that I didn't understand, like little by little by little, leaning into this world where there were all these inspiring people. And that's also part of what that means, right? We only understand what we say from our levels of awareness. So when I say there's a new world, some might go, she's another woo-woo, right? But I mean, whatever you believe, you're going to prove. So if you want to lean into maybe a cool world, maybe lean into this truth. So that's what I did. I just kept using my heart, and I could feel there was so much truth in these laws, and they are God's laws. And these laws were used, by even those that built that spaceship and landed it on the moon, and we could time the landing with the precision of a second. They're using these laws too. And the more I learned about it, the more I started to learn about who I was. And that's when I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, we should learn more about who we are. Because actually I said this earlier today, because I had learned it recently and I thought it was so profound. And it was about how the universe expands infinitely out this way. So if that's the case, then it also is infinite inwards, right? And we also know that if we want to change the outside circumstances in the world, we've got to do the work, right, on us. And everything outside of here is just a projection of where we are. So that's a long answer to your question.
Yeah. So when you say we have to do the work on us, can you clarify for people that don't quite have the awareness that we have?
Sure. I mean, the work especially for those that are on this call, I mean, you guys are already doing the work. That's obvious, right? What we seeks us, and you're not here by accident. You know that too. So you've been doing personal development. What is personal development? It's know thyself. It's to remember who we are. And so doing the work would be your daily routines, the reading that you do, showing up and doing the work. Kathy, I see you and Jeff on Facebook Live being as goofy as can be. And I just see this like movie, that you guys are just being free to be who you're meant to be. And it's awesome. It's like a reality show with, spiritual beings that are just having fun. Right. And so, yeah, that would be doing the work, showing up and being that light, not afraid of what others think of you, and just spreading that joy. Because you see, like Bob Proctor and like what you and Jeff do, one person changed my life because he decided to show up on YouTube. And let me tell you, I didn't relate to the guy. He looked like a stinky car salesman. That is so rude. I don't even feel right saying that out loud. But there was something that he said with so much power, that I just, he was like, you're not your body, you're not your mind, you're not your name. And I'm like, man, this guy is weird. And it was just, but there was something there, and I just kept tuning in. And that's exactly what you guys are doing here. So doing the work is doing what you all are doing every day. Every day you're doing the work.
Yeah, I know we have class at 5:30 in the morning, sometimes at 4 a.m. Yes. And people that hear that I go to class at 4 a.m. or we go to class at 5:30 a.m., they're like, what in the world are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing the work. I'm totally doing the work. And,
I'm still snoozing at 4 a.m.
Yeah. Well, and if I could add to that 4 a.m. study time, your brain is in theta. So it is the best time to actually be studying. And that's the Autobahn of, jumping multi-dimensional realities. So it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know we talked about the law of attraction, which most people they know about the law of attraction. I'm not going to say that they understand it, because there's also the law of vibration that goes with the law of attraction. So can we talk about frequencies for just a minute, and about the law of vibration and frequencies? And can you explain that?
Absolutely. So the law of vibration ultimately is going to be the vibration in which your body is in, based on, if I could build this image for you, right? It all starts with a thought. So you're either going to choose faith or fear. And you can't see either one of them, but we're so conditioned and programmed to be based around fear that we choose a thought that's fearful, right? So that's a conscious decision that we make, right? But it's also unconscious too, because we're operating at 95% of habitual behavioral patterns. So in other words, 95% of what you're doing are just habits, which is why you keep getting the same results. So the vibration here is really important, because even right now, if you're on this call, or when you're doing, the work and you're having revelations, you're feeling right inspired, you're in spirit, you're in true form, you're in who you really are. So why you're inspired and why you're able to expand your consciousness is because you're in that form, in a high frequency. You're closest to God in that frequency. So in that vibration, your body is in, because you're completely surrendered. You're out of your head and you've completely surrendered and dropped into your heart, and you're using your higher mental faculties. And I feel like most people here on your call will probably know what that is, but you're using these powers that we all have, that we've been gifted by God, and we're able to expand and see, right, the unseen using our imagination. And that's when we're in spirit. Now, what'll happen, however, though, is in that high frequency, we're still programmed, right, at a different frequency. So we still got to go back and now do the work, which means you can't just have, ideas and not implement and act on them. You've got to act on them too. So this is now, here's what happens though, because we're conditioned, we make this incredible decision that, oh my God, I have this, let's use a big goal or something we've never done. We're like, okay, I'm going to go after this goal. And you're incredibly inspired. And you're like, yes, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So you're in this high vibration and you go to take a step forward, right? And if you're not in that right frequency, you're going to have what we say is a terror barrier, right? All hell is breaking loose inside, because you've never stepped out into this world before. So are you still following along?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. It all again begins with a thought that we impress into the subconscious mind, which then causes our body to vibrate at a certain frequency or vibration. This is what allows the law of attraction to work, because when you're high in this vibration, which is going to allow those opportunities and people that you would not have seen if you were in that lower paradigm, in that lower frequency, because there's a lot of doubt down there, right? Because you're in your head, you're trying to figure things out. And what happens is it quiets down intuition, and intuition would be God speaking back through you, universe, source, consciousness. For me, it's God. This is why it's important to know the law of vibration, and why frequencies are so incredibly important, and why the work we do is so important. Because we're learning, right, when we're home and we're studying, we're learning how to transmute energy. And that's another law too, that I don't know, we might be going over today. But being able to move energy from a negative space to raising it to a higher frequency, so that you can receive transmission. And from this frequency, you start to move. And when you've changed your personality, your entire personal reality has shifted. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And so I think my daughter might have a question. She texted Jeff in the middle of what you were talking about. So hang on one second. Oh, might be a off Facebook question. So I did have a question about the whole higher vibration and frequency. Oh, so basically, I guess maybe I have more of a comment about it. One of the things for those people that don't understand the law of vibration, it's kind of like listening to a radio station, and you have to tune it in to the correct radio station to get to that law of vibration. Because, you know, you could be wanting to be at the 99.5 radio station and you're at 99.3, you've got static. And so you just got to tune it in. And one of the keys that I found to help me, and actually learned it from you, is the happiness frequency. Or just, you know, a whole bunch of different high vibration videos and stuff that are on YouTube, and you just have them playing in the background at your house all the time. And it just, there is something about the sound. It's the sound, it's the frequency. It makes your life, your house, a better feeling place. And so it looks like Jeff wants to ask a question. So go ahead, Jeff.
I do. Because you started out when you're saying that we're pre-programmed for fear. And I was just wondering, what are some ways to, or techniques to get you through the fear barrier and help you to achieve that higher frequency?
That's a great question. And I love that. You know, one of my mentors, I love how he says it. He always, you know, and you guys might know him, right? He goes, F it, right? I don't know if you can feel that energy. Just F it, run towards it, run towards the fear, right? And how in which that we do that is the work that we do. So it's through knowledge, it's through study, it's through really understanding, you know, repetition of the same idea, surrounding yourself with dreamers, surrounding yourself with those that keep you on a high frequency, those that want to see you win. You know, you can feel it when you're around them, right?
Yeah.
You can feel it. And you want to and it's so incredibly important that the 5 people in which that you surround yourself with, I mean, really, that is this energy, right? And so that's important too. Fear is always going to be there. It allows us to feel duality. So, you know, I've heard one of, I don't know if you've ever heard of Teal Swan, but love the way that she explained it once. And she says, you know, you just carry the fear, you just carry it with you. And, you know, I mean, in the end, right, doing it's the inner work. You've got to go in, you got to go all the way in and just hold on to that fear that's always going to be there and say, we got this, we're going to be okay. And you just step forward and trust and meet the universe halfway, because no one's coming to rescue you. Right. No one, right? So that was the biggest thing that like hit me like a ton of bricks, was like when I realized, oh, there's no Prince Charming, you know, I've got to show up. And yes, it's scary. Of course it is. It's the unknown. We've never stepped out into these frequencies before, which is where the spirit is. That's who you really are, right? You're having a human experience as spirit. You're seeking fuller expression and expansion. You want to grow, and how you know you're growing is by feeling uncomfortable. And that discomfort also, right? When we go down to anything that's the opposite of what makes us feel good, the root of it is always fear. Does that
right help? And I know, like, we as humans, we're, for whatever reason, we're a fear-based society. And so it takes a lot to overcome that. A lot of work, a lot of education, a lot of habits. I mean, you have to do your habits to get into a different mindset. So can you talk about, unless you have any other questions about that law, the law of relativity? This one was actually interesting to me, is the law of relativity. And I don't know why that was like such an interesting one to me, but will you talk about the law of relativity?
Sure. And as you asked me that, I won't lie, I actually drew a complete blank of what that actually is. And so I'm going to actually even say that I'd like to look it up to refresh this memory, and then I'll expand on it for sure. Actually, Kathy, you have a definition of it there too.
Oh, you're totally fine. So what I've understood the law of relativity to be is just everything is relative. as far as like,
Yes. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter of the size. Okay, thank you. See, that's called a brain fart, and that would be the human part.
Don't worry,
Right.
I have those all the time.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really important for your audience to see, because the reason why we don't show up is because we're afraid we're going to fail. And the truth is, we always fail forward. I forgot. Right. And
It's
thank you
okay.
for expanding that. Right. No. And so with that, yes, actually, I love the relativity, because you see, this is really actually powerful when you realize that it depends on what you compare it to. So it could be neither bigger, neither small. Right. But I mean, yeah, $1 million is a lot, but compared to what? Right. Yeah. But compared to $1 billion, it's not a lot at all. And so, yes, that law for me changed my entire life, because some would say, oh my God, you should see my situation. It's so horrible. And you see that I'm mirroring this of me. Actually, when I say this, I actually see my situation as if I'm saying it out to someone else. But what made me realize is when I started not comparing it to other people, you see, it was me being grateful that it could have been worse. And just knowing and understanding that, maybe I don't understand it right now. Like, for example, if I'm late to an appointment, and like for my vet, and I was only 5 minutes late, and they're like, no, sorry. And I drove like 35 minutes, and I was so mad. And I use this law for that though, right? Like, and also saying, was it really bad? Was it really bad, or was it actually good? And actually she healed herself. So they might've given her something, right? Like, I hope that this is all making full circle, but for me, it's this comparing, right? So I hope that answered that question. So that's how in which that I use it in storytelling, and how these laws really help me have that faith that everything is truly always working out for us. Always really is. It could be a lot worse, but never say that, right? Never. It's so important that we are careful with how we choose and in what we say. The universe doesn't understand jokes. The subconscious mind only accepts. So we always want to say everything is always working out for us. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that totally answers my questions as far as, so for me, like the law of relativity, when I exactly basically what you were saying is, because I used to think like $1 million was a lot. And I was like, but then when you think about it, it's a lot to some people, but little to others. Or houses that I've seen in my entire life, there's some like ginormous houses. I was like, that's a really big house. But then I was like, relative to what? And so I remember actually going to St. George with Jeff, and I was like, I actually probably talked about this law the most, like 5 hours per 5-hour road trip. And so, but that's just, it was like a light bulb turned on for me, a big light bulb, because it's really your perception. It's your perception of what is relative to you and your life and what you would find important.
So
yeah.
true. And actually, I just saw, if I could, in the comment, and I think this is so important. I think a lot of people know this, that Giselle wrote in, that fear is the same as excitement. So if you change your thought, right, change the vibration, if you change the story, Dr. Joe Dispenza says that 60% of what you remember isn't even true in your past. You only knew it from your level of awareness, and everyone's perception of the situation is different, right? So if you can change the way in which your vibration is in by changing the story and saying, I'm actually really excited about being on this webinar, or showing up live. I'm so excited. The body doesn't know the difference. And so it does shift. A lot of athletes use that, and Olympians. So thank you for the reminder, Giselle.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's actually brings me up. I went through a challenge with Nayurkit's Day, and it was how to ask empowering questions. And it was interesting because of just how there's like 3 key questions that you ask to yourself and to others. And some of them are just exactly about, who do I want to be when I show up on this webinar? What do I want to show to the world? And what do I want to bring to the world? And so it was just, and those are my questions. Those are not hers, but and basically kind of the same concept about what you're saying is like, I want to be this person that shows my fun side. And, even though I'm nervous, I'm okay being here. I'm absolutely, 2.5 years ago, I would not be doing this. I would not have done this. And so it's been awesome, this entire journey with you. But go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead. I'm just enjoying the conversation, so I'm.
Oh, you're enjoying the conversation.
I am. I'm lost in the conversation and learning laws, so.
Yeah. So I know we talked about the law of vibration and the law of relativity
And attraction.
and attraction. And then what is your favorite law? Because I know they all work together.
They
but-
do. Yeah, they do. But for sure, I mean, I love the law of attraction. I mean, it's kind of cool when you're manifesting things, you know, and then you've got people telling you and validating, wow, you're a master manifestor. You're like, yeah, this is an awesome world we're living in, you know, and I don't mean manifestation of material things and money, just those things. It's manifesting people like you and finding a community of loving beings that see this new world and they're showing up powerfully. And I mean, my gosh, have you seen that I mean, our group, like from, you know, I mean, watching everyone back that started, you know, this journey and now where they're at, and just there's international bestsellers, there's people in magazines, you know, there's people doing Facebooks and podcasts and just, you know, shining bright like diamonds. And that's the world I've always seen. And so for me, it validates everything I wrote down. And it's like, I get to surround myself with light workers, you know, and here they are shining their lights all over the place. And so, of course, we're going to collectively change the world. That's the way it goes. Have you heard of the monkey story? You remember that one? Like where cleaning of the bananas? Do you remember that, Kathy?
I know it because you talked about it last week on the class, but you are welcome to go ahead,
Okay.
and say it again.
Yeah, well, and you know, I feel the truth in what it says, and I don't know how they measured all of this, but they said that there were, you know, there were 100 monkeys, and they gave them dirty bananas, and one monkey saw that he could clean the monkey or the banana in an ocean or water. So then all 99 monkeys followed that and started cleaning their bananas, right? And then collectively, all of a sudden, all the monkeys, I suppose, did it. But it felt true, right? Like when we're being that the light, when we're in a high vibration, there's the primary law to attraction. How can you not attract great things? Now, when you attract things that might trigger you, and I often always say those are activation codes, meaning that these beings have shown up as, you know, to help you expand and grow, which is why the trigger is there. You have an inner guidance system that's perfect, that really allows you to feel the truth of who you are and who everyone, right, has that power that flows to and through them. So I always like to say too, right, that the God that flows through me sees the God that flows through you. And when we do that for each other, we raise the vibration. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I feel great. I feel like I can conquer the world. And you're like, I don't have this fear like I used to have. And then if you get enough of those, you all of a sudden, your programming that's operating at 95% through all the work that you've been doing, you just become someone different. It's so organic. The shift is just, it's so magical. And then all of a sudden your outside world changes into something that you said you wanted to manifest. And then you're like, oh my God, I want to share the good news. I want to share with others what that's possible for them, because you're telling them and they look at you like you're crazy. And you're like, no, really, right? Like you're trying your best to reach them, right? So
Right.
The law of attraction for sure.
One of the things about the law of attraction is I used to have a very limited mindset. I thought that the world was not abundant. I didn't understand that the world was so abundant, or if it was abundant, it was abundant for everyone else but me. I didn't really understand that. And, you know, going through all of the stuff that the teachings I've done, the learning, all of the books I've read, and one of my key people that I listen to is Peter Diamandis. And he wrote how the future is faster than you think. And he's one of the people that says how abundant the world is. And he also created the X Prize. And so it's interesting for me to go from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset. And now I'm just like, oh my gosh, the world is my oyster. I can do whatever I want. I can be, do, and have whatever is out there. And to me, I'm so grateful for that whole shift in my thinking. Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff. You're like staring at me like you have a question.
Oh, yeah, I kind of do. How do we get past the negative self-talk that we do, that we've grown up with, to stay on these vibrations, or the scarcity, get out of that, the feeling of the scarcity and how abundant the world really is?
Yeah. Man, you've done so much work, right, Jeff? Like we've gone on some wild adventures too, haven't
Yes.
we? Which has really raised our vibration, because it's allowed us to experience things that others, we do the best we can to explain, but then when we do, they think, oh my gosh, these people. But why I say it in the way and answered it in the way that I did was drop into your heart. That's so key in answering your question, right? Like the negative self-talk that we do. It's like we try to, we're analyzing everything. We're trying to figure it out from our head. But if you drop into your heart, it allows you, again, you start to rise in that vibration, right? And listen, when you're in it and you're like, and you're feeling like all those things, feel it. Feel it. That's the human experience. That's duality. Allow it to come through, and like, whatever you got to do, like write it all out. Those extra, our lessons, write it out, burn it, write the affirmation. People goes, oh, that doesn't work. Okay, well, keep telling yourself that. Okay? Remember, the subconscious mind doesn't know. Keep telling it. And but I've been doing it for so long. It's not in your timing. It's repetition. You have to realize this is from centuries, and you're doing the work. It's not just one time. It's like, again, brushing the teeth. You don't stop brushing your teeth. You do it every day. And, I love Esther Hicks, where she transmits Abraham Hicks. And ultimately with that, it's just, it's the 17 seconds. You have 17 seconds to be in a bad mood, right? And then after that, you've got to, before the law of rhythm picks up more negative thoughts, because one will add to another, and all of a sudden you're like surrounded yourself with all these people and they're all negative, and you're going, how did I get here? Like, and well, everything is a manifestation of your creation. Everything, you pull it all in so that you can evolve. That's how powerful you are. That's why the law of attraction, you are the center of it all. My mind is the center of divine operation. Everywhere you go, you're the center of that. So you have that power to project. So your thought sends out signals, and your feelings are drawing back events. So you want to use affirmations. You want to be, again, surrounding yourself with people that are doing the work. And, you want to study. You want to wake up every morning, and in theta, you want to do, that's very important time. And when you go to bed, you want to make sure, protect your energy. Okay? Oxygen mask on you first. You can't evolve. I mean, think about it. And, in my world, it's UFOs and stuff. So you put an oxygen mask on you, and I know in your world, maybe too, right? You put the oxygen mask because you're going on a UFO. You got to have self-care. You got to be vibrating high. It doesn't mean don't face your situations. That's not what we're suggesting. I think that's really key in saying that here. We're just suggesting instead, and encouraging, face it in a high vibration, respond to the situation versus reacting. And so that you can, well, attract miracles, magic. Does that answer you?
Which you really can. You do have in your power Aladdin's genie lamp. And so you can actually create whatever you want in your life, whether that's good, whether that's bad. You look at your thoughts and what you say, and you'll see what's going to be created. Because we create as we speak. We absolutely do that. So you actually talked about the law of gestation without really calling it the law of gestation, as far as it's not in your time period. It's not in your control. So can you talk a little bit more about that law?
Sure. I definitely have a lot of lessons with the gestational periods of when, your desires manifest. It's in God's timings. So when you launch these desires of what it is that you want, Now you've got questions, right? Which are, these, are you able and are you willing? Are you willing to die for this now? And as you're moving forward, right, there's all these unforeseen forces that are working for you that you're unaware of. This is where your faith comes in. This is why faith and fear, right? You've got two, so you choose faith. Because the time of the gestational periods, you see, just like I was mentioning earlier about, you never know what's happening for you. Things, right? The universe is holding you in certain places and the timing is perfect. It's perfect. And that's sometimes hard for some because they want to control it, and you can't control outside circumstances. You can only control how you respond to it, right? But if you have the unwavering faith, without a shadow of a doubt, you will manifest it. Those are God's laws. Again, those are the universal laws.
Yeah. Well, and I that one's a hard one for me too, is because I'm very I want things, and especially because right now we're in an instant gratification society. That's totally what we are. So we think that, if I'm gonna place my order, with the universe or with whatever you want to call it, I should be getting it right back, just like you. Just because we are in that instant gratification society. But it's been nice for me to learn patience. I mean, I used to be very reactive, and so I've had to learn how to respond. And so for me, that's been one of my key learning experiences with the whole TIR, is how to respond and not react. And especially like when people within your household trigger you. And so I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to learn from this? Because there's always a learning in every trigger that you get. And so, but yeah, so for the law of gestation, that one was, it's great to know and understand, but at the same time, it's hard to accept sometimes. So
no, absolutely. And I think it's also really important to remind everyone too, if you stop and look around you, remind yourself of all the things that you've manifested up until now. Being grateful, that really helps you center yourself and bring you back, to grounding and really looking around you and saying, wow, these at times I remember was a goal that I wrote down, and here it is that I have today. Like you were even talking about the instant gratifications, but we kind of slow that down. We can really appreciate. It's about the journey. You hear that a lot. And so what does that mean? It's like, well, be present with it, right? And be appreciative and know that you will manifest the things that you desire. That knowing allows you to travel with calmness of mind, which then allows you to see further than you would have seen if you were not in chaos. But it's practice. You're breaking the neurological pathways of, the old patterns of thinking. That's going to take time, right? And so it's just, you said it, like breaking it, bringing your conscious attention to it allows, right, new neurological pathways to be formed. And then you start to operate as a new personality. And with a new personality, you receive a new personal reality. It's all an inside job.
Yes, for sure. Do you have any questions on this one, or in general?
Well, kind of in general, it kind of goes with this last law, but when you're going through a time period where you're asking for something, don't you also see like the universe shows you progress and that? And I know with me, I don't always see it. Is there a way to look at your life or look at what's going on around you to be more aware of those signals that you're getting or signs?
Absolutely. That's actually the fun part. Because this is about personal growth and not about the getting of things, right? That all comes with the transformation. But there's signs all the time, right? Like if you ask, you'll receive. And if you want to play with the universe loves to play. So you can ask for number signs. Like that's my favorite, and then I start all of a sudden, I've surrounded myself with all these, I say magicians, because now all of a sudden I'm seeing number signs everywhere, and it can be anything. And it's really cool when you say, okay, I want it to be personal to me. And when it happens, you'll know in your heart through vibration that message was for you and that it is working. You just ask the right questions, be in that vibration, be in that frequency to receive transmission. Because if you ask and go, oh, this is so stupid. Oh, well, you just took it out and took it, and then you just sent something else. So now you're receiving something totally different because you've got ambivalence going on. You've got two different things, right? And so you've got to send the signal, ask the question, and then let go, let God, surrender, right? And go about your day and just have it in your heart. Carry your gold card, surrounding yourself with high vibration, leaving people with an impression of increase. That's another lesson that we do, right? It's not about complimenting people on physical things or trying to people please. We're talking about raising your vibration. Like I said, the power that flows to and through you, see that in them. And when you see that in them and you speak something kind, you'll completely change their life. And when you change their life, that's your karma, so to speak, right? What you put out, you get back, the law of cause and effect. So does that answer your question, Jeff?
It does. It really does. Thank you.
So since you're the one that just went there, let's talk about law of cause and effect. Because everything in life has a cause and an effect. And I guess if you want to think about like a rubber band, when you like pull out the rubber band, and then it's going to go back to its normal size, but like that's kind of, in my mind, the cause and effect. You've got like a cause, you're pulling it out, and the effect, it's just going to like bounce right back to how it's supposed to be. Or you can think about like the tide. There's always like the tide goes, well, that's more about the rhythm, the law of rhythm. But why don't you talk about the law of cause and effect and explain that to our audience?
Absolutely. So when I think of the law of cause and effect, I think of Newton's toy, that I don't have one of those. So I'd like one though, as a reminder, but I love that, right? So when you put out whatever it is, you're going to receive that. So this is where you have to take full responsibility for the vibration in which that you're in, because you could be consciously saying one thing, but you might not be in alignment with what you say, right? So it's the cause of whatever it is that you do, there's always going to be that effect, if that makes sense. So if you put out one, you get one. If you put out two, you get two. If you put out three, you get three. You've heard that, like whatever you say to me will bounce off me and go back to you. Well, that's true, right? What I do to you, I do to me, and what you do to me, you do to you. That's such a powerful law for me, because it reminds me, operate from your heart, be in alignment, right? And know that if you lead it with love and you lead it with light, that's what you're putting out. So if that law really works, then I guess I'll get more love and light too.
Well, I think that you will, because that's exactly it's a law. It's not a law. Everything has a cause and everything has an effect. And so it's kind of interesting, because when you think about it, besides the spiritual laws, everything does. I looked at my I struggle sleeping. I struggle sleeping. I'm like, so I've been having to look at the cause, because the effect is me sleeping poorly. And so I've had to like go backwards and look at the causes of what's causing me to sleep poorly. And so, that's an easier way to put it, other than like a spiritual way or a universe way. But that's because everything in life has a cause and effect. It absolutely does. Absolutely does. If I'm going to go put a ginormous piece of cake in my mouth, and I'm going to gain weight, and because I'm not 20 years old anymore, so it's not going to come right off. And so,
but I will say, if I could, Genevieve, which was Thomas Troward's student, she wrote The Invisible Power. She actually says that, and this is good news. I don't know, right? Like, we believe in what, and so I know I don't mean to completely butcher your example, because this is completely left field, but just for fun, she says that you can actually, I don't know, I'm not there yet, that you can eat cake and it wouldn't make you gain weight if you believe that it wouldn't. I don't know, I'm not there yet. But I thought that might be a fun fact for your audience, if they wanted to study that book, because it is a great book too.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books, actually. It's The Invisible Power. That one I've listened to that numerous times, read it numerous times. It's an easy read. It's an easy read. But it looks like Jeff has a question. He popped right up.
No, I'm really interested. I've always known there's a cause and effect. I've always been taught that. But hearing it with more in tune of vibrations and how you manifest can be different from what you actually want. It's just really, it's one thing that I find hard because I know it's the way I'm acting, thinking, talking, and then it's what I ask for or I'm asking, but it gets changed because, oh, I double negative, you're gone, or something like that. So I'm really, my biggest problem is getting stuck in a different vibrational mindset and trying to get that corrected.
No, I literally love actually where you're going with that, because like you said, right, you often, some people might say, well, why am I attracting this? I'm trying so hard to be in a positive vibration. But you see, you want to change that story right there in that moment too, to say, this is showing up for me because this is the lesson now. So this trigger has occurred so that I can now use the tools and resources that I've been learning every morning, the routines, the rituals. Now I'm going to use my superhero tools to, right, not allow these outside circumstances to allow my energy, because that's when you give away your power, is when you, right, when you react and when you get upset, you give away your power to others. Because if you know who you are and you take all your power back, because you see, again, you can't control all this out here anyway. So since you can't control it, again, using those tools that you have, and it's going to take practice. So when you do get frustrated with yourself, I want to say, take time to breathe, stop, and know that this is all happening for you. You drew it in. You drew it in because of what you said. There's something that you're asking for, but you have to be willing to die for it. And when I say in dying for it, right, it's the dying of the old you so that you can step into the higher part of the higher you, which is who you really are. Again, spirit is seeking fuller expression and expansion. And so sure, it's the real work. And, I've heard, my clients say, this is hard and I'm going to own that. And sure, you've got to earn it. You've got to earn the wisdom in which that you have, because the wisdom is the experience. It's the discomfort and feeling the feelings like you said you felt, Jeff, and the frustration and, why am I attracting this? Like, it's through that. It's you persevering through that and still choosing with your free will, love and light and leading of the new world. How? Well, by putting the oxygen mask on you, by being the light. And by being that, you start to get transmission on what to do next. And then once you've done the work, now you've met the lesson, and now you respond little by little every day, 1% every day. And then again, your complete reality changes. And then you get signs. All of a sudden, people start to validate this for you. All of a sudden, people start to say, oh my gosh, you've changed my life, or thank you so much for what you did. Oh, what does the law of cause and effect say? What you put out, you get back. Didn't you have something to do with that? Well, sure you did. You were the light. You were just being. You were inspiring others to change from within. That's not a form of control or manipulation. You're doing this by inspiring others. And that's why, for me, it's like, where are all the leaders of the new world? That's what I asked for. And so the universe said, okay, well, are you willing to die for it? And I said, I sure am. Why not? I mean, right? Like, I'm going to go this way anyway. You got to go with the flow. Change is it's inevitable. So I can just hear my mentor, right? F it. Let's just run towards it. Yeah.
Oh, so one of the things you were just talking about, just kind of goes along with what Jeff was just saying. Giselle thought that was funny. So people sometimes they want to know, because like for me, I've had breast cancer, I've had a jaw tumor, I've had like negative things happen in my life. And so I know some people have those questions like, how am I attracting this into my life? Can you, I mean, and I know you don't really have an answer for that exact thing, but can you kind of talk about that in a way, like some people that maybe out there hurting, maybe they've got cancer that they're going through right now, and maybe that's exactly where they're at is, how in the world did I attract that?
Sure. Yeah. I remember when I started to learn these things, I thought, oh man, that's going to be, it's going to feel really uncomfortable, in sharing that, because I didn't have the experience yet. And so being a truth seeker, I wanted to know, why does that happen? Because my mom died of, ultimately a tumor. She died of blood poisoning. It's kind of a longer story, but, it was like, why did that happen? And that's definitely, a longer talk that we could have, but what I want to say to that is this from, I don't know if you've ever heard of Dolores Hay, where she talks about the energy in which that we store. And, energy is a real thing. That's who we are. We're spirit, and we store it within us. And you see, we can heal ourselves, and it's I want to say, that, being a sensitive, I feel that I'm trying to choose the right words in this, because there's certain people that I think about, and it takes courage and strength. And for those that are feeling this and that could be listening and are going through this, it's because you're the leader of the new world. If you believe that, you'll prove it. And I mean, that's what Jesus said. I'm spiritual, and but you can heal the body. And when you're seeking, you can find. When you're asking, you'll receive. These are real words. And so why is it happening for you? Well, ask the right questions on healing and how in which that you can, heal your body, because you can. I don't think that's true. I know it is. And yeah, you're here. And if you're, like I said, if you're listening, you're going to be one that will. That's what I believe. And if we believe it, we'll prove it.
Yeah.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, as with the amount of time that we have, it does answer my question. Yeah, because we could have gone down a whole big rabbit hole with that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, one of the other things you said that we're gonna have to talk about another time is energy is stored in your body, and there's proof out there. I mean, that different things that are going wrong with your body is because of different problems you've had in your life, whether that's problems with like, for example, I've had cancer, and it depends on if it's on your right side of your breast or your left side of your breast, whether they have problems with men or women or what. And so there's actually a lot of studies out there for energy stuck in your body and how to overcome that without going down having to take prescription medicine or having surgery. Because if you look at the culture, like in India, they don't have surgery, and they absolutely don't have surgery, and they heal themselves through the foods that they eat or the meditations they do. And so to me, that was huge for me to like look at that kind of, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have to go pop a pill to make me feel better. And so, because I didn't understand that for a long time. But it looks like Jeff has a question. He always stares at me like that when he has a question.
No, I just had like a little epiphany here. It's a placebo effect. Exactly what you're talking about with the energy and the people in India. I mean, the universe is going to throw everything out there that they know you can conquer and handle and learn from, to help improve your life. And the way through it is with a strong mental and spiritual well-being. And it's just having that, it's just like having your super vaccine that you just got, and nothing's going to harm you from there.
Yeah. You know, if you've ever read I Am the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza, it's mind-blowing. I mean, if you think about even in the medical field now, you get placebo pills, you
Mhm.
know, and so okay, I guess the mind really can heal the body. I know an ER doctor, his name is Spencer. He also does this work, and he talked about, I mean, I know him, you know, you've heard of these stories where the doctors will say, that's as much as I can do now, it's between them and God. And there's people that survive surgeries and there's people that don't. And it's those that really believe that they can, that do, you know, even those in Auschwitz, you know, those that believed in this new world, using and being in a high frequency allowed them to, you know, to be where they're at. So that's another rabbit hole I realized I didn't have the time to go down. So I was like, whoop, I'll pull that back.
So, okay, well, I have one. We're going to talk about the law of rhythm. So, because to me, this one is interesting. Something that Bob Proctor said once about the law of rhythm. And so go ahead and explain it about the law of rhythm. And then I will, if you don't say what Bob says, I'll pop that in there. I'll question it.
Okay. I almost want you to say it first. You know, when I think of the law of rhythm, I think of Napoleon Hill when I listened to his book, Outwitting the Devil. And it was really powerful when he talked about being on this rhythm of thought. This is what comes to me is, you know, when you think a negative thought to another negative thought to another one and another one and another one, the next thing you know, it just picked up. And now you're just going down the law of rhythm of complete negative thought. And now you're just attracting all of that. And so for me, that's, again, due to time, I don't know how far, and I don't know if I'm hitting what Bob says here, right? But it's, when I think of it moving the opposite direction, it's in harmony. Like the law of rhythm is in harmony. You go with the flow, right? Be flow, and move it towards the positive thinking, because then you pick up the law of rhythm in the positive momentum, and you can pick up speed, you know, and we know that the universe loves speed. And so when you collectively have a group of people, again, that feels this way, you know, you can just pick up so much momentum, and the law of rhythm has taken off. So let me know, did I hit what Bob said? Probably not.
Well, no, you explained the law of rhythm totally exactly how I understood it as well. One of the things that Bob said, and I don't know if it was an inner circle or where I heard it from, because I've listened to Bob for years, for a long, long time, but I didn't understand the laws until recently. So this is something new. But what was interesting to me about the law of rhythm is because he was talking about moods and how everybody has a rhythmic mood, like because you can't always be high all the time. You're gonna be happy and you're gonna be sad, but you just don't let yourselves go down in that deep crevices of depression. And because it was interesting, because I don't even know that he really said this part, but he was talking about men and how they have different moods, because you always hear about females will, like, I'm just going to put this out there, they're going to have 1 week a month that they are not necessarily the best of moods, especially when you're in your younger teenage 20-year-olds. Those are like, you're going to be kind of miserable, your mood swings. And so a lot of times that you expect men to be in good moods all the time. It's like, oh, you don't have that problem. You need to be in a good mood all the time. And so, is that not true?
I'm always in a good mood. I don't know what you're talking
Well,
about.
no, but I think as us females, because we've been chosen to have our weekly,
Moon cycle.
That, and our moods do get affected by that. And so, and the guys don't have that. So I know me, when I was younger, I was like, well, when I was married to Mike, my previous husband, I was like, well, you don't have this problem. You should be in a good mood all the time. And so it was interesting because Bob was talking about the fact that everybody's moods, whether you're a guy, whether you're a female, your mood will go in a rhythm. And so it was interesting to me. So that's what I was thinking about when Bob talked about the law of rhythm, is everybody's moods go in a rhythm.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great description. And that again reminds me of duality, you know, just knowing you're going to be doing this, you know, that rhythm. And also to, when the dips go down, we can still go down with our hands up on the roller coaster going, wee, because you got to go through it anyway, so might as well just do it that way, but yeah, for sure. I love that visual that you just gave. It's that's why repetition of this information is key. No matter how much you study it, it expands, through how you've explained it too. Now my expansion of the understanding of these laws has even grown even more, so thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Why, I have a really great teacher. Do you have anything to say on that or in general?
Nope, I'm good.
So I know you have she has a notebook full of questions over here.
And they've all been answered, even though I haven't asked them all. I'm like,
that's because I've already read them. So I did them for you. I know they're not as they seem.
I send them out. I sent them out there. You snagged them and got them.
Yeah, so awesome. Is there anything? Well, we're actually at the end of our time. We have to run to the pet store to go get our bearded dragon some food. I don't know if you saw, we took Goopy on a walk last week. Well, we tried. We have a little leash for it and a little cowboy hat.
For who?
We have a bearded dragon, a big old lizard.
Of course you do, because you've ridden on it.
Not that big.
I wish.
Oh, I'm talking about, never mind. In that's for another time.
That's too funny. So with that said, with love in my heart and gratitude, I so appreciate you, Dolly. Thank you very much. Is there anything, Giselle, do you have anything before we go? I know you're on your phone, so she's good. So okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.